I've covered historical uses of beard oil many times on this channel throughout different videos, especially in my Carrier Oils 101 series, where I break down the individual ingredients and I give you things like the history and culture behind that ingredient. But I wanted to make a video dedicated to the history of all beard oil, or at least to the best of my ability. Now, I am a middle school history teacher. I'm in year 11 right now. I'm also a history buff. I love it in my heart and soul. So this video was so much fun to research and create for you guys, and I really hope that you enjoy it as much as I did making it. Now, if anybody is new here, welcome. My name is Dan C. Bearded. I have a lot of viewers that call me the trusted teacher for all things beard related, and if you like beards, if you like history, please consider subscribing to this channel. I do think it'll be a good fit for you. Now, I have some people that watch my videos that I'm pretty sure are not subscribers, but they tend to find a way to the comment section all the time, and those are the guys that like to bash beard products. They like to leave comments saying things like, man, I wonder what men did before this current phase and trend of beard products. When were men men? When were warriors warriors? Well, I hate to break it to them with facts. I know they don't usually like facts, but the facts are men have used oil and groomed their beards forever. Since the beginning of time, they've found ways to take care and groom those beards. Now, the problem we have, the reason why we need oils on our beard has not changed. I pointed that out in my recent video about sebum oil. There's no change that's made guys softer now or our beards drier, more brittle. This has always happened, and men have always had innovations to take care of it, and they've used things like the different oils we see today. They also use things like combs, brushes, and even heat. Yes, heat. They made their own versions of curling irons or heated brushes to style in different ways all the way back then. I'm going to cover the different cultures today and show you how wrong guys are that leave comments just like that. And it's going to take a look throughout history and kind of the idea that beards were even more prevalent the farther back you go. I'm working on another video right now that is going to highlight the trend, the start of shaving beards and having clean shaven faces and where that has kind of come from. A super interesting topic on a separate one. You just got to wait a couple weeks for that one. Our oldest accounts of men using oil to take care of their beards goes back way before any written history, which makes sense, right? We had humans on this planet long before we had any writing. And this is something that is passed down from oral stories from generation to generation, and the new generations are even taught the ways of the older generations or of their ancestors. And the oldest that I could find, and I'm pretty sure this is the oldest that is out there, I've looked and looked and looked, is in Australia, men using emu. I know, or American, you say it wrong. Emu, I get it. I like to say emu. And ostrich oil to take care of their beards over 40,000 years ago. To put that in perspective, the United States has not even been a country for 300 years, and this is over 40,000 years ago. Now, this kind of goes with the trend of history. We see some of the greatest traditions of beards throughout history in areas that are the hottest and get the most sunlight, whether it's in the Middle East, whether it's in the desert of Australia, and the reason is because of the function and added benefits of facial hair. What does that facial hair do for you in the desert? It is a UV protector. It is going to help soothe your skin. It's going to help keep those rays away from you. A lot of people think that you get hotter. I've never experienced that. I've only had benefits of having my beard in a Michigan hot summer. Now, again, I know some of you are in Texas and Florida, like, you don't know what a hot summer is. Okay, I get it. I can just go through my experiences. But think about that. 40,000 years ago, stories of men putting in oil into their beards to keep it nourished, to keep it smelling great and looking great. Our oldest actual records, now what I mean by records is in writing, goes back about 6,000 years ago to Mesopotamia. Now this is pretty cool because I do teach ancient world history to my middle school students, and I do teach about Mesopotamia and Sumer and the first civilization and writing, and to hear that they were documenting taking care of their beards is pretty cool. Now they used sesame seed oil because that was common in the area they were from, but they took great pride in their beards. If you don't believe me, just look up some Mesopotamian statues and you'll see beards that look fantastic. They look styled, they looked purposeful, and they did. They used tools like tongs and curling irons. Yes, They would heat up metal in the shape of a circle, right, or of a cylinder, and they would put curls and waves into their beards and make some really cool styles. They would trim their beards into really nice symmetrical shapes. That is fantastic. And this, again, is Mesopotamia. Now, they also documented why they were doing these things. It was held in high regard, but they talked about the oil, sesame oil in particular, and how it would help their beards protect from heat. Yes, they used oil to protect from heat, to also style their beard, to make it feel good, smell good, and they said that it was used to be able to prevent things like damage and split ends, and my favorite that they put in writing was that it was used to kill or prevent lice. Now, that's not something we normally hear about, but hey, if it does that too, that's awesome. So I love that. All the way back in writing to our very first civilization in Mesopotamia. The ancient Greeks, Native Americans, and Vikings are known as some of the most manly warrior tribes and cultures of all time, and they all very proudly took care of their beards. Now let's start with one of my favorites, and that's the Greek culture. Now the Greeks used a combination of olive oil and castor oil to take care of their beards. Now the olive oil makes sense. Olives still to this day are one of the biggest exports from Greece. They can grow in the mountains, which they have a lot of, so that makes sense. But the castor oil is interesting because they fell in love with the growth properties of castor oil. They used the olive oil kind of as a carrier to take care of it and groom it, but they purposely put in castor to make their beards grow faster and stronger. Now, when we look at Greece, we think of people like Leonidas leading the Spartans, right? Some of the most tough humans in the history of the world. I could make an entire class on the Spartans. I love learning about the Spartans. But they really valued their beards. One of the things that they would do if they wanted to dishonor someone in battle, they would cut off a piece of their beard. Another pretty cool thing is the night before they would go into battle, they would do a ceremony where they would pour oil all over their hair, their beards, and their skin to get ready for battle that next day. So if you're gonna try and tell me that it's not manly to put oil on your beard, please check with Leonidas. I mean, before his head was cut off and taken to Athens and stuff, but check with Leonidas on that topic right there. So cool. Now, to the Native Americans, they also took care of their beards. Now, they're not known for having the biggest or most luscious beards of history, but they did grow out the best facial hair that they could because they had varying seasons. They had hot summers, they had dry and cold winters in North America, and they wanted to be able to find something that would help them deal with that. Now, they are the first culture that I could find that used a well-balanced blend of different oils. The Greeks used two, right? That's awesome. But the Native Americans were using thick oils, thin oils, ones that would fast absorb, others that would kind of coat the hair and skin. Super cool. It was very similar to our modern carriers that we see today, in America at least, which makes sense with the ingredients. So that is awesome. Also, the Vikings. That's the one everybody likes to point to, right? I even made a video on Vikings, but this one I think is done just a little bit better. And the whole idea is Vikings were savages, right? They were gonna pillage, they were gonna be tough, they were gonna kill things, they were gonna drink, while they also took care of their beards. They were known as being some of the most attentive men to their beards in the history of the world. They were often found with artifacts that were exactly shaped like our beard combs today. They used things like tweezers. They also used oil. They used brushes. Everything you can think of, they took care of. And they even took it a step further. They were big into decorating their beards, right? You start thinking of the image of a Viking. Oh, wow. They would braid it and they would put beads in their beard. They cared about it that much to style their beards. Yes. Some of the most warring tribes and cultures in history extremely valued the appearance and health of their beards. The first commercial sales of oils that were marketed and intended for men and their beards came in the 1860s in London. Now, this was an oil that had been around for years and years and was marketed actually as a unisex oil, but it took off once men started embracing it for their beards, and this oil is known as Macassar or Macassar oil. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Macassar oil because it sounds cooler, and this oil came from a base from the tree of the Lang Lang or Ylang Ylang tree, but it also was mixed with coconut oil and palm oil. Now, those last two ingredients are semi-solid at room temperature. Most of you probably know what coconut oil looks like. You've had that little clear tub in your pantry for years. Well, imagine putting that into your beard. Now, it is thick, it is greasy, it is not gonna absorb in quickly, but that is what they wanted. They thought back then that the style was a greasy beard. They thought it was healthy to have a greasy beard. When a guy would walk out of a store and the sun would beam down and make his beard light up like a disco ball, they would be like, dang, you see that guy's beard? Not the style for me, but that's what they really liked. But super cool to see that they were caring for it and taking pride. It wasn't until about the 1930s, also in London, where they started to advertise beard oils that were going to be thin, that were going to absorb quickly and take care of your skin. Super cool to see kind of that evolution to that well-balanced blend that we really see today. Now, the US took a lot longer to kind of join the train of the beard product trend. Now, it was about 2013 when we saw a big boom. The US opened up the doors to companies like Honest Amish and Detroit Grooming then, and since then they just opened up the floodgates, and we have so many companies, small batch, in the middle, huge companies, and I love it. You guys need to remember, more companies is a good thing for economics. Competition breeds innovation, breeds higher quality. It's going to make this work, and I love seeing that. Man, I love history, and I hope you guys do too. So, questions, comments, thoughts down below, please let me know. Is there something that you didn't know that you thought was pretty interesting? I would love to hear that. Also, is there something that I did not explain thoroughly enough that you would like more clarification on? Please leave your questions down below, or something that you have to add, something that I missed that you know or you have found. I would love that addition. I always give you guys props and respect when you do that. So thank you guys for watching today. One more time, my name is Dan C. Bearded. I love history and beards, so you should stay bearded and stay positive.